Well, good Wednesday morning, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It is January 25th, 2023, 6:50 a.m., and we are halfway through the week two championship weekend for the 2022-2023 season. Yep, this week is the conference championship games. It will be the San Francisco 49ers going to Philadelphia and the Cincinnati Bengals going to Kansas City. I'm going to do a quick wrap up and review of those games, give you a preview also. I'm not going to do another video this week unless something really out of the ordinary comes up, Jet news wise or whatnot, or even league wise. But just a quick recap. There was 4 games played this past weekend, obviously, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And let's just jump right into it. So, being a Jet fan, always AFC games um, that get me, interested in the games, even though the Jets are out of it. And you had the first game, the Jaguars and the Chiefs. And I will let you know this: I was rooting for the Jaguars all the way through the beginning of the playoffs, just because of a similar storyline where you have the first round number 1 pick, Trevor Lawrence. Yes, the Jets missed out on him. I'm not even going to get into that. You don't know how this quarterback gets developed if he's on the Jets. So let's take away all that. But anyway, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars who came back and beat the Chargers the week before. They go to Kansas City. They go to what I call Arrowhead. It'll always be Arrowhead to me. And they go toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs. There was a point where Jacksonville's driving. They're going in for a touchdown, either the tie or take the lead. And their receiver fumbles the ball after getting hit. And then the following drive, Trevor Lawrence drew an interception, and that basically was it. They couldn't hold on. So Kansas City wins a game they should have won at home, 27-20. They will host the AFC Championship game. The late game was a game that most of the people in this area, up and down the East Coast, up and down the Turnpike, if you will, you had the Eagles hosting the Giants. The Eagles beat the Giants twice this year, once earlier in the season, once the last game of the season. And that last game of the season, they said that the Giants didn't play their number 1 squads, their starters, and they gave the Eagles a run for the money. From the first series on, the Eagles were just overpowering the Giants. The Giants looked like they were not prepared, which I don't understand. Their coach has proven that he is a good coach. He makes he prepares them for everything. They just look like they were not ready for this next step, and that's fine. I don't want to say the Giants overachieved. They did things that weren't expected for them from the experts. Now the fans. Let me tell you, every year I have expectations for the Jets, and then I have what I want the Jets to do. So for the fans, for them to hit the playoffs, you can't say, "Oh, I think they're going to do that." You said, "I'm glad we're here. We're going to move on." Game by game. And the Giants are get a game. They beat Minnesota in Minnesota. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley have now playoff experience. Brian Dabo has playoff experience, and the NFC East is going to be a great rivalry again. There was always those years where you had Dallas on top all the time. You had Philly on top. Giants and Washington were always out of it. This year, up until probably the last 3 weeks, everyone was in it. You had 3 NFC East teams out of the 4 in the playoffs, but the Giants cannot handle it in Philly, 38-7. Giant defense just was not there. Giant offense couldn't get anything going. The play calling, that I so much gave props to the week before Minnesota was not there. But you know what, Giant fans, listen, you went in, you got your playoff win. Daniel Jones got that under his belt. Next thing is now, who do they sign and who do they retain or who do they move? Who do they put the franchise tag on? Is it Jones? Is it Saquon? Do you sign one and tag the other? Well, that'll be going on, next few months here in New York. Then you go to snowy Buffalo. Then Cincinnati goes in to Buffalo. Now, the the little asterisk by this game is if Buffalo wins and they go to the the AFC Championship game and play Kansas City, it is um, it is in a neutral zone, a neutral site. It'd be in Atlanta. They already sold 50,000 tickets in Atlanta. Buffalo is also a 5.5 point home favorite. Bengals early on set the tone. They got to Josh Allen. Um, they caused turnovers. They were sacking. They were stopping the pass plays. They were stopping the long routes. Um, and Joe Burrow um, played a phenomenal game. They mixed it up. Uh, the Bills never really got close, you know, maybe early on in the game, but it ends 27-10. Um, you know, you have Stephon Diggs yelling at Josh Allen on the sideline. There was also a report that he got to the locker room, got dressed, and left even before the coaches got to the locker room to address them. And one of the running backs had to stop him and have him come back. Diggs actually went on Twitter to basically not defend himself, but say you don't know what's going on, you know, so don't point fingers. Um, you know, this was supposed to be the game that Buffalo won. They had that young man who had suffered the cardiac arrest on the field in the luxury suite, standing ovation. Buffalo snow, you know, typical Buffalo football weather, and they just could not do it. So the Bengals win. Joe Burrow could be heard saying, "Got to give them a refund back in Atlanta because the game's going to be in Kansas City." Bengals felt disrespected all week with the 5.5 point underdog status, but they come out and show, you know, the Bills that they could go with them, they could go hand in hand with them, play for play, and they beat the Bills, who were the early favorites to go to the AFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl. I had the Bills early on picked on, and I'm going to say this, and people are going to say, "Oh, because you're a Jet fan." From that Jet game in MetLife in early November, when the Jets came back and beat them and picked off Josh Allen twice and got to him and, you know, hurt his arm or whatever it is, he has not been the same player. They have won games, but he has not been the same player. He's running more, you know, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. They had a great game, a great season. They won the division, but he's not been the same player. Then you have the afternoon game, and you have the 49ers with Purdy, the third string quarterback, the feel good story. You know, I'm gonna quote Caddyshack, the Cinderella story. Nobody knows. He's writing his own script, whatever. Facing the Cowboys, America's team. They're back on top. You got McCarthy, who nobody thought could do anything, getting the Cowboys to the divisional playoff game. You have McCarthy with a healthy Prescott, with a healthy Ezekiel Elliott. And the game was as boring as could be the first three quarters. 3-3, 6-3, 6-6. You know, and then the 49ers get it started with an unbelievable catch by the tight end Kittle. He juggled it 4 or 5 steps, you know, kind of tipped it up in the air, grabbed it, got the drive going. 49ers went up scoring. Cowboys get the ball back, and clock management is just terrible with them. I just don't know what they're doing. You know, they are not spiking when they should spike. They're not calling timeouts. The timeouts now are done. And on the last play of regulation, even the commentator said that they lined up. I forgot who the commentator was. I forgot. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my memory with that. But they first of all called a great game. It wasn't your normal commentators, but they called it a great game. And they said they lined up like they're playing flag football. So basically, they had Zeke as the center, and he was going to block one-on-one with the nose tackle. And then you had all the wide receivers fanned out, and you had Prescott that was going to probably try to go downfield and little razzle dazzle. Off the snap, the guard, the nose tackle, went right through Zeke, right to Dak. Could not get anything done. Got the pass off. As soon as the pass was got off, the wide receiver was laid out. Game over. Um, and San Fran will travel across country to Philly to play the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. So that's the 3 o'clock game on Sunday. Um, the later game is the AFC game, which is, of course, the Bengals going to KC, and we do have some you know, I don't know, you want to call it stories about this. I'm trying to get it right now. Let me just, let me look this up. Give me one moment. Okay, so this came across the screen as I was given the recap. 49ers, I believe it's defensive end Amanu, was arrested for domestic violence in San Jose. Police were called to the scene. Charles Omenhu um, was arrested. The cops that responded said that there was no visible signs of physical markings or anything like that, and they're furthering the investigation. That's something you want this. That, first of all, you don't want to hear about domestic violence, and then you don't want something like this the week of your championship game. Also, Patrick Mahomes has undergoing treatment for a high ankle sprain, but of course is intended to play on Sunday. Two tidbits about the Kansas City um, Bengals game. 5th year in a row, Kansas City is hosting the NFC Championship game. That is the longest streak ever. And as a Jet fan, okay, they say 5 in a row. So they've been to 5 AFC Championship games in a row. The Bills have been to 4 in a row. I don't know if they hosted all 4. I don't think they did. But in the history of the New York Jets, you take away the championship season. You had the Mud Bowl, which was the AFC Championship game. You have 98. You had 09. You had 2010. 4 AFC Championship game appearances since 1982-83. They've had 5 in a row at home, okay? So they're also the only team to get back to the conference championship the following year after, I'm sorry, the Bengals are the only team to get back to the conference championship after losing the Super Bowl the previous year. So let's just take a look at the spreads this week. I'm going to get my picks. So the early spread right now, and again, there are things going on with San Francisco, with their defensive end being arrested and whatnot. The line is San Francisco getting 2.5 at Philly. I think the line is spot on. Sometimes I think it's a little too low. Sometimes I think they're giving too much. I think it's spot on. You have the Eagles, who, yes, were the best team in the NFC all year, but they are banged up. You have the 49ers, who have won, I think it's like 13 or 14 games in a row now, since trading for McCaffrey. And since Purdy came in, they have not lost. But the Cinderella season, again, I'll go back to Caddyshack, does that end? I think 2.5 points is enough. Look, I would love to see the 49ers do this, only because of the feel-good story of Purdy. I don't know if they're going to be able to handle the Eagles. The Eagles right now are flying high. Yes, they have had some bumps in the road, but they have never took their foot off the throttle. The 2.5, I think it's a 3-point game or less. So I take the Eagles, and I think they win outright. But if I had to take the points, I'd take San Francisco with the points. So if I was betting San Fran plus the 2.5, straight up, Philly wins the game. Then you got KC and Cincinnati, which I think is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a better game than the early game. Two teams that know each other, two teams, young quarterbacks. They always say the future of the NFL. Me growing up, you had Terry Bradshaw, you had Dan Fouts, Plunkett. Then in the 90s, when I really, really got into Jet football, you had Marino, you had Jim Kelly, you had Montana, you had Young, Now you hear the names of Mahomes, Burrow, um, um, and this is just going to continue. Josh Allen, um, Cincinnati getting a point and a half on the road at Kansas City. To me, it's almost like a pick 'em, almost like the Bengals may be favored if they're playing at home. Kansas City at home is a tough, tough team, but I think the Bengals have a lot to prove. Uh, that they feel they have a lot to prove. I don't think they have to prove anything. They have this chip on their shoulder about being the underdogs, and you know what? I think they go in and they win outright the game. They don't. I'll take the point and a half. Um, Actually, I'm sorry. Let me start over. I'm sorry. The Bengals are favored at Kansas City, so the Bengals are given a point and a half to Kansas City. I still take them. I think they win outright. I think they win by maybe 5 to 7 points. Mahomes is hobbling. You can see he wasn't the same player. They play any other team last week, and it's probably a loss. If they go to Buffalo, they probably lose. Um, Jacksonville gave them as much as they could. Not taking away from Jacksonville. So I have the 49ers getting 2.5 if I'm taking the points, but I think Philly wins it outright by 1 point. If it goes to 3, that's what I'm off by. I got Cincinnati winning outright, Cincinnati giving 1.5 points in Kansas City. Um, Philly San Fran game, I think you're looking at 26-24, 26-25 final score. Bengals KC, I think maybe looking at a lopsided game. You may be looking at a 27-13, a 27-17 win. So that is our NFL picks for championship weekend, and I'd love to be here next year talking about the Jets in it. But we have some Jet news to give out right now. So you can say what you want about John Douglas. I actually like him. I think he does wonderful trades. I think he has good drafts. Zach Wilson, yes, that probably is going to be just a blow up in his face. That may be a huge blow up in his face going down the road. But yesterday, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, ahead of the rookie class on Tuesday, the Pro Football, I'm reading this now from Tony Banks on Twitter. Yesterday, Pro Football Writers Association named Sauce Gardner 2022 Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year, while handling Wilson, the Offensive Rookie of the Year, offensive Rookie of the Year, and offensive. Um, Let me rephrase it. Okay, so let's try this again. Gardner is a 2022 Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year. So Gardner won Rookie of the Year, the whole league, and 2022 Defensive Rookie of the Year. Garrett Wilson won Offensive Player of the Year. Um, just now I don't know if it's rookie for offense, but not. But that is just something great to hear. So we have this foundation. We have Hulk, who was injured. Hopefully he comes back better than ever. AVT, Vera Tucker, yesterday was quoted as saying he'll be 100% for training camp. And then you have, all right, so who do you put behind center? If I can count how many starting quarterbacks I've seen since following this team, I think we're in close to 35 or 40. The only thing that comes up next to that is head coaches, which I think is 16. But out there right now, there are 4 major quarterbacks that may be available. And I'm going to do it from, and I'm not even going to rank them. So you have Tom Brady, who doesn't know where he's going. But you know what? The Jets are a long shot. He's always said he hated the Jets. Does he stick it to Belichick by coming back into the division? If he does, I think he goes more to Miami than he does to the Jets. But, who knows if you open up your checkbook and you bring Tom Brady back to New York, or into New York. You got Aaron Rodgers, who has won 2 MVPs. He's been to and won a Super Bowl. He may be looking to leave. He gave some kudos yesterday to Zach Wilson. on how he has a nice foundation here, and Zach needs to have some humility in his life and learn. And then he went to name some players on the Jets that he thought was a good foundation for them and for Wilson. Um, Packers are looking for two number ones to get Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is going to want $40 million. Uh, both Brady and Rodgers will probably not play more than 2 years. Brady, if he goes 1 year, will be a lot. Um, Joe Namath actually came out and said if Brady or Rodgers came over to the Jets, he would take his number 12 out of retirement and give it to them to wear. So he's advocating for them, which means he may have the ear of Woody Johnson, which means he may have the ear of Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. Here are my things with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not taking anything away from them. Both of them will be in the Hall of Fame. Tom Brady should go to the Hall of Fame not after his first time eligibility, but right after he retires. They should do it. I always hated him against the Jets, but as a player that has done it on two different teams, I got to give him a little bit more respect. He's not a jet killer anymore. Brady is going to be 45. He had some personal issues this offseason. He's getting divorced or is divorced now. His personal life is usually in the paper only not because of him, but because of stories that are leaked, stories that are going on. You have the Antonio Brown situation with Brady and then Brady's wife and whatnot. I think New York media would love to have Brady here. I think the New York Jets would love to have Brady here because if you remember about 13 years ago, they just loved Brett Favre, and he had to see Key to the City his first day in New York, and then Brett Favre jerseys turning up everywhere on the New York Jet logo. I don't know if Brady has enough in his tank to play for the Jets for two reasons. Number one, again, he is in probably better shape than a 21-year-old football player. But he's going to be playing behind the Jets' offensive line. That would have to be a brick wall you put up for Brady. That's number one. Number two, the pressure is he has to win it in the time he's going to be here. And I'm not saying he can't do it. I just don't think the team is ready to do it there. The team is more than a Tom Brady away from getting to the Super Bowl. Same thing with Rodgers. Rodgers, I think, will give you 2 years here. A few things with Rodgers. There are personal opinions of mine and also football opinions. Start off with the football. His body, I think, is a little bit broken down. You can see he had a few injuries this year. He has slowed down. It could be the supporting cast he had as well that caused them to play and to lose the games they lost. But again, I don't think he comes in and his team is just a Super Bowl contender or a Super Bowl participant. And if you're going to do 2-1s and pick up this big contract and first round picks, yes. I mean, they're nice to have. They're great to have, especially the Jets this year will have a top 10. I think they're maybe the 13th pick this year. And next year, depending on who the quarterback is, it may be a lot higher. Maybe the upper 20s. You want it to be, 32. But can Rodgers come in, deal with New York media, deal with, the pressure of winning now, and handle that? I don't know. I think Rodgers likes that Midwest, that really, and the Green Bay Packers are the Green Bay Packers, but out of the spotlight of the media type thing in New York. I mean, we are starving for a championship here. And Aaron Rodgers coming here, or Tom Brady reminds me of when the Yankees got Randy Johnson. It wasn't a good fit from day one. Randy Johnson was going to the press conference. He was leaving his hotel, paparazzi in front of him, and he's pushing them out of the way. I mean, I think that's going to be the way Aaron Rodgers handles New York media. He is not a people person. I think he's just, he's like the Bill Belichick of quarterbacks when giving interviews. On a personal note, and this is just my opinion, two things. First thing was his way of getting around being vaccinated. I don't care if you're vaccinated or not. It is a choice that you should have to make on your own. But when you say to somebody when you're I'm inoculated, and it turns out that you're not vaxxed in the term that they want you to be vaxxed, you're lying to your teammates, you're lying to the league, you're lying to your coaches. You try to get over it. That's number one. Number two, I read something a few months back about him talking about 9/11, and I don't know if he was not downplaying it, but saying how it was, probably an inside job or it wasn't as devastating as we're making it out to be, something like that. Now, for all of you who know me, and I know we don't have many subscribers, but the people who subscribe to this know 9/11 affected my life, like many others, dramatically. I was there. I saw it firsthand, up close and personal. If I was 1,000 feet away from the buildings, I was far. I was probably a block and a half south of the building, of both buildings. I heard it. I saw it. I smelt it. I still hear it. I can still taste the soot. I just don't downplay it. You want to say it was an inside job. I cannot for the life of me want to think that my government did that tragedy that unfolded in front of us, but that's your opinion. I don't know if you can come to New York and do that. So that's me. If you have Aaron Rodgers and you have Tom Brady, you're looking at a 2-year window tops to win the Super Bowl. If not, you're starting over. If you're starting over, that means you failed, which means you get a new coaching regime in here, which means you get another young quarterback in here. So I don't know about them. Hey, listen, if they come in and they get us there and they win, I will eat crow. I will eat crow. I want them to win here. But right now, I don't know if that's viable. I don't know if it's the option that'll get us there. Lamar Jackson. People say I'm crazy that Lamar Jackson will not be better for the Jets. Listen, at this point, anybody be better for the Jets. Okay? But you have Garrett Wilson, rookie of the year, or, rookie offensive player of the year. You have Brees Hall coming back. You have Elijah Moore, if he's still on the team. Corey Davis possibly still be on the team, although he's a cap hit. If we keep him, we can get rid of him and get some cap space. Lamar is more of a runner than he's a pocket passer, or any type of passer. So if they run, and I'm just going to throw a number out there, 50 offensive plays, he's running 20 of them, 22 of them. Then he's handing off, so your offensive philosophy changes, and it should. The way the Jets are playing, maybe the offensive philosophy should change. But now you don't need a Garrett Wilson. You don't need an Elijah Moore. You can get away with, lower tier wide receivers. So I don't know if he's a fit there. And again, you need the offensive line because he was beat up this year. He did have the injury. He did miss the playoffs. But we shall see. And I'm looking at, Good Morning Football, and they're saying questions that you're being kind of asked of. And somebody just held up a whiteboard and said, who's the Jet quarterback going to be? Okay. Derek Carr. I hate to say this, but I think Derek Carr may be the best option for a few reasons. First reason is the experience he's had. He's had some success. Second is he won't cost you as much as a Brady or a Rodgers. And third is if he comes in, a la Vinny Testaverde. And if you remember, Testaverde came in as a backup in '98. And I remember watching a preseason game, and I think it was Jets-Giants preseason, if I'm not mistaken. And I didn't want Testaverde, Interceptaverdi, the old man, but he was a Long Island kid. He came back, and he's throwing touchdown passes, and my father goes, the commentators say that touchdown pass or that play is all Vinny. 98 season comes in, you have Foley starting, you lose a heartbreaker. I can still see Garrison Hurst running in overtime against the 49ers. Then you lose the second game at home, you lose to the Ravens, and then you don't lose another home game. And the Jets end up 12-4. They win the division. Testaverde lights it up, and he goes on to have a pretty good rest of his career. He goes into the 2002 season really, and that's where he gets banged up. But every year except 2000, we made the playoffs on the Testaverde. 99, of course, he got hurt on his Achilles, and we came a game short with Ray Lucas. So if Derek Carr can give you 4 years and get you deep into the playoffs each year, you found that magic in a bottle. You know, people forget 98, 10-0 lead against the Broncos, and your core players, your Curtis Martins, get like 13 yards. Your, you know, Keith Byers fumbling a ball. Dave Meggett that Parcells brought in specifically for special teams, muffs a kickoff. You know, so Derek Carr to me, because of his age, because of his price, may be the guy to bring in. And I say maybe you keep Zach Wilson in the background to learn. My cousin Mikey said Zach Wilson's a bum, get him out of here. So you want somebody who is either going to be here 3 or 4 seasons, you know, be through the Saleh regime, maybe keep Saleh here, new OC, which, by the way, Nathaniel Hackett was interviewed, and he was the OC for Rodgers when Rodgers got his MVP. But staying on Derek Carr, maybe in the beginning I didn't want Derek Carr, but maybe he comes here, comes to the New York side, and he has more stability. He's not playing for the Raiders, and nothing against the Raiders, but you know, they just, you know, the Davis family is, you know, they say just win, baby, but they have not done that. And the Jets have not done that yet either. But I think coming here and fresh start, maybe Derek Carr is the answer. We shall see how it plays out. So anyway, we are the Takeoff. Check us out. Subscribe to this video. Check us out on Twitter. At the Jets Takeoff is our Twitter handle. You know, tweet us. Check us out on Facebook. The Takeoff is the Facebook page. Email us at thejetstakeoff@gmail.com. And also, of course, on YouTube, you could look us up. The account name is The Takeoff. The channel on the account is at the Jets Takeoff. You can Google that. You can Google Alex Poggiali. Like us, retweet us, subscribe to us. And let's hope, first of all, for Jets to start making some progress on what they're doing with hiring an OC, and then take it from there. And then if you look at the championship games this week, and of course you can't root for the Jets, root for somebody. Hope your teams win. Have a great rest of the week. Have a safe week. Have a healthy week. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed week. Whatever you say, and we'll talk to you soon.